All right, I guess we're going.
Right, I think we are. Here we
Yeah.
go. So here I am with Sophia. I've done a few tracks with Sophia. She's helped me Metal and Liberty on Instagram. Yeah, she's helped me do some music for some of my songs. So I'm just here to introduce you all to her and talk about some of the projects and things we've done. So um, yeah, tell us a bit about yourself.
I am in my third year at Rollins College. I'm studying public policy, and I am working toward getting my Juris Doctorate in uh, probably contract law, intellectual property, copyright law, stuff like that. I am working toward becoming a music attorney
Cool.
specifically, but I am also a musician. You've heard my guitar playing and my orchestration, my drum programming on many different songs at this
I have
point.
indeed. Yeah, no, you're really good
Yeah,
at
yes.
it. Yeah,
Um, and I also work with my own solo project, Exiled Hope. That's sort of a symphonic metal, folk metal, melodic death metal solo project where I do all of the orchestration, vocals, and instrumentation for that. I also have my own band here at school. It's called Figures. We do sort of like experimental stuff, just interesting sort of 80s style rock. It's very different from what I usually do, but we haven't had much of a chance to meet yet because of COVID, and that makes me very sad.
yeah.
We've sort of been on hiatus this semester, but yeah, so. And then I also recorded a guest guitar solo for Beyond the Existence's song Innocence Chamber on their re recording of Silent Morning. And yeah, that is basically the extent of my musical portfolio.
That's good. No, that was good. Yeah, no, I've heard a lot of your, especially the Exiled Hope stuff. Yeah, that's on Bandcamp, wasn't it? Was it
Yep,
Bandcamp?
that's on my
Yeah,
Bandcamp page,
yeah, that's good. That. Yeah,
exile.bandcamp.com.
I bought that one, didn't I, back a bit? Yeah, so yeah,
Yeah.
and it's done some good, a good mixture, really. Yeah. So yeah, no, I think I come across you on Instagram. I can't remember how I first followed you. But it was handy because I'm always kind of on the lookout for people to like work with and kind of see what other people can bring to the whole sound and stuff. So yeah, we kind of fell on our feet. We kind of found someone who's similar in what we're kind of going for. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, it worked out well. So yeah, what has been your favorite track that we've worked on then?
Ah, I really, really like Evolution just because I am super into that sort of dark death
Yeah, yeah,
sound. It's very haunting. It's very sort of melodic, even though it's pretty much just all growled vocals. There's a lot of room for like extra melodies in there. I threw in a lot of extra little treats in the backing vocals. So
yeah. It's fun that. Yeah.
there's something new to find every time you listen to it. And I also really, really like Reflection. I would say that is another one of my favorites. And I
Nice.
wish I had learned how to master properly before that one came out because I listened to it and I still love it. It's still
Yeah.
beautiful. It's gorgeous. But I feel like the mastering is a bit muddy and I could have done better.
No, you did
uh,
well. It's always, I mean, the good thing with how we do it, we're kind of pretty real with it. We kind of learn as we go and kind of we're always evolving, like
yeah.
evolution. And we're always kind of kind of coming up with new things and trying different sounds. And yeah, one of the ones I really enjoyed, I like the music you did on Weber Lies a lot. I thought that was really cool, kind of effective, really nice, catchy kind of chorus and stuff. And
Mhm.
yeah, no, it was just really effective. So yeah, that one I like. I think that's probably my favorite. But also, we have done a new song, haven't we, recently? So what one is
Cyber War is another one of my favorites, and I am
Cyber?
extremely proud of that. I'm very happy with how I sort of came up with the rest of it from scratch after just hearing
Yeah,
the demo. So, pretty proud of the way we did that, and the vocals on it are fantastic, especially for having done like, was it one take?
it was. Yeah, it was a weird
Yeah.
one. That it was an unfinished kind of demo kind of thing. I was working in the studio on the song with Changes in You for the one featuring Don Jolly and stuff, and we worked on that song. It was me and someone I met at an open mic and kind of got to know, James Joseph, it's his stage name.
Oh, I follow him on Instagram
That's
too.
the
I
one.
was sort of wondering what the connection was.
For you, yeah, there you go. You know it now. Yeah, yeah. We kind of did a thing where I helped him with social media, and he helped me record a couple of songs. So it turned out we just managed to get time for the one song, which was Changes in You, but we did have a little bit of this second song recorded, which was the one that we're talking about. What's it called?
Cyber War.
Cyber War, yeah. My mind's a blank today. But yeah, so I didn't actually have the name for it at that point. I think that's why I'm getting confused with it. But all I knew was we wanted to do a heavy song, and he came up with some basic guitar kind of stuff, and it was a guide track. So I actually sang we did it just off the cuff. I had some lyrics sort of written out, and we were just literally recording a guide track, and then we all got distracted with other stuff. He had to work on some of his own music projects, and I was kind of thinking, well, I'm not doing much at the moment, so I might as well contact you, because I thought, well, you enjoy coming up with different music and stuff, and I thought, well, I have at least the vocals recorded. So you kind of did a whole different musical arrangement, didn't you? That was completely different from the kind of one we sketched out in the studio, and but I still had the vocals. So yeah, you did well, kind of rearranging the whole song really, and making it work to the vocals I already had, which I was just using for the guide track. And I decided, because those vocals were recorded on really good microphones and stuff in his studio, I figured that should be used. I thought, why waste that? At least,
that's perfect take.
Yeah, at least take something out of that, out of the time I spent in the studio. But yeah, it was very raw. I mean, I think I would have, if I'd recorded it again, I kind of didn't sort of put that much thought. I just sort of wanted a real hard feel. So I didn't really go for I would have perfected it more. I think if I'd had more time, I would have kept going over it and tried different things. But I just had these vocals, and I thought, yeah, they work actually. I thought it sounds heavy, and good quality. And I thought, yeah, no, I'll just use the vocals I had. I didn't record any more, I don't think, and we just used what we had, and kind of went with that. So yeah, it was quite good how it worked out. That, yeah, and you managed, like I say, you managed to completely recreate the music and come up with your own thing for it. So it was a fun project. You managed to get creative on your end with what you wanted to do with it, and yeah, you were pretty much just left to do whatever, weren't you, and just kind of experiment. And yeah, no, it turned out really cool actually. And of course, having Ripper on there, Ripper Owens, was really cool for both of us, wasn't it? I know you're a fan, aren't you? So.
I love him so much.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah, he's great. I've been following his stuff probably since I was 13. I discovered him when he did a really good cover of Mr. Crowley with Yngwie Malmsteen.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
I heard that, and my mind just shattered because it was so awesome.
Yeah.
Then I discovered Iced Earth when I was 15, and then I heard him on their EP The Reckoning, and I was like, ah, this is insane.
So it wasn't even really the Priest stuff for you, because I only
Not really no. I discovered the Priest stuff after I discovered the Iced Earth stuff.
Yeah. No, that's cool, because I only really knew him for the Priest stuff, and I've since looked into his other stuff, and he's done some really good King Diamond covers. Abigail, he did a really cool version of, and obviously it was quite a crossover song, because I used some vocals I'd had from another song, Razor Edge, but completely incorporated them in a different way. So it was kind of really, this whole song was quite different, because you had to come up with completely different music for the vocals I had, of my own vocals, and then
Mhm.
Ripper had a whole other set of vocals from a different kind of recording thing. So it was like a compilation almost of like three different songs or two different songs, but kind of made into a whole new song. So it was interesting process, and it was quite good just to see how it worked really, because I think it could have went any direction, but it turned out a really heavy, kind of gritty track, and kind of yeah, no, it's
Mhm.
good, a good heavy, proper heavy metal track. I think that's the feel I wanted originally, and it kind of came out like that, luckily. So
Yeah, and I
yeah,
showed it to everyone in my dorm, and they all love it too.
really,
So they've gotten like maybe 20 new fans.
hey, wow, that is good. Yeah, no,
My friends who live with me.
oh, fair play. Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah. No, well, I'm just glad 'cause I know it's good to. I knew you were a fan of him, and I'm a fan of him, so I thought, well, I might as well bring you in on a cool
Yeah.
little project, and kind of we can both say we've worked with Ripper, which is cool. So yeah, no, so that was a good one. Yeah. So any other ones worth mentioning? The processes of any? Did we have any interesting?
Well, I have a little bit more to say about Cyber War. So
Go for it.
it wasn't super hard to figure out. I sort of knew that I wanted sort of a thrashy Black Sabbath feel, 'cause I listened to a lot of like old school Black Sabbath stuff, and Tony Iommi was the guitarist who got me into playing
Right.
guitar.
Yeah, I
Um,
always loved Tony starting out. That was I think he's one
yeah,
of my first, yeah.
he's probably my main inspiration aside from Randy Rhodes. Randy Rhodes and Carlos Santana, two of my favorite guitar players. Very soulful, very
Yeah.
melodic. They don't just kind of sweep pick all over the place. Because one of the things that I really don't like about modern metal guitar playing is that it just sounds very all over the place and not very
Yeah.
intentional, and it gets very boring very fast. And so I try to sort of avert that with my guitar playing, and I improvise a lot, but it's still every note has to feel intentional, like it belongs in the song.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I don't want people to think, oh, she's just sweep picking or shredding just to fill in space, and like it doesn't actually have consequences for the song. And I think that's one of my gripes with the modern metal scene. It's there aren't too many creative guitar players out there. But if you have any recommendations, please let me know, because I'm dying to hear some good guitar playing.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of like you. I like the old school ones, KK Downing, Kane Roberts from Alice Cooper's band. I always thought they were really tasteful players, and we're probably kind of different on the kind of guitar styles we like, I guess, or like our favorites anyway, because I kind of like the kind of real whammy, real like wild improvised kind of style. That's like one of my favorites, and that's what I try and kind of replicate, because I've on a couple of our songs I've tried to kind of come on and riff away,
Yeah.
just whatever, shred away, and I kind of try and do that improvised style. But yeah, I think there's a lot can be said for that kind of really well thought out structure as well. And I think what's great with Glenn and KK with the Priest duo is like they're kind of opposites in style, but equally talented. And KK was always my favorite just because I love the wildness. I think he really feels it, So I guess that's what really appeals to me. But then it's great to see that kind of the solos, which are really like you say, lots of thought goes into each little bit of it, and kind of it's kind of, yeah, I think they're equally, really valid and cool stars, and yeah, I like with you that you can tell you've thought out what you're doing. Like when I watch you on Cyber War, I'm kind of I can just see all the, you've really thought out the spot on, like the kind of the playing, which is good. And yeah, no, it works really well. So yeah, I think if people like their guitar players, they definitely enjoy Cyber War. It's a very guitar kind of song, I think, which is good because a lot of my songs aren't really that guitar orientated all the time. Not really. So yeah, no, you kind of bring a more band feel, I guess, to the songs that we do together,
Hmm.
more kind of more kind of a band, with the people taking solos kind of vibe, and
Yeah.
the intricate kind of, yeah, it's good. It's a good proper metal feel, you know, to stuff. So yeah, no, it's good. But yeah, yeah. So what else was there? So we've done Goddess Sun as well. That was an interesting track, wasn't it? I think that was a pretty experimental one for us. It was kind of
Yeah, that was I was bringing in a lot of my Exiled Hope style to that one. It's very symphonic. It's very dramatic. Lots of power metal influences. I'd say honestly, like some of my bigger influences are sort of obscure bands like Winter Sun, Avantasia, Iced Earth Again, Nightwish. So those Seven Spires too. They're a new band that I discovered recently, and also like Camelot, um, Stradivarius, all those big sort of power metal bands, and some of
yeah.
the smaller symphonic bands too, like Epica. Although Epica isn't really small, but you get what I'm saying.
I know.
So yeah, I was bringing in a lot of symphonic influences into that song just because I
Yeah,
don't
I
know,
thought
this
yeah.
is sort of an introduction to bringing our styles together, and people on Instagram know me for like I don't know I guess for my orchestration and my screaming and
Yeah.
shredding. So I
It
wanted to
is
bring in
kind
a
of
little bit of everything into that song.
Yeah, it is kind of like two different styles. I think that's what's good. You've got you listen to pretty different stuff to me, but you still like a lot of the stuff I listen to.
Yeah, yeah.
It's kind of
Priest and Maiden and all
that's
those
it. Yeah.
80s bands. Definitely my introduction to metal, and then from there I discovered a bunch of other stuff. Oh, another one of my influences is Unleash the Archers. I forgot
Uh,
to mention that, I can't believe it, but if you like sort of 80s style power metal, definitely check out Unleash the Archers. I
I
love them.
will, yeah. I need to check out more of these bands. I'm kind of always, because I write so much music now, I don't really like listen to much new. I'm kind of I like the bands I've grew up on, and I kind of don't explore too much because I'm just always writing. And I think sometimes I like to stay to what I'm kind of making. I think when you listen to a lot of bands, sometimes you can kind of start copying, but not deliberately. But then sometimes it's good. It works for some people because I guess you can take inspiration from bands
Yeah,
which you've
I
heard.
think there's a difference between like blatantly copying a
That's
riff and then just sort of generally taking the themes that
yeah,
other
yeah.
bands use, because I feel like that's kind of what I do for my original stuff. Like I sort of might model stuff off of certain bands, but I'm not like trying to be them, I would
Hmm.
say.
No, that's good. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that at all because I mean, there's David Bowie was always known as like the chameleon kind of style. He just took little things from musicians he liked and kind of become a unique entity, you know. So I guess it really is dependent on the musician, I guess, because I guess my angle's always been that I'm kind of because I'm not I still I guess I even though I don't branch out and listen to loads of new stuff, I guess I still have the stuff I grew up on. I guess even I'm taking inspiration from that. So really, it's no different in some ways. But I feel just for me, if I was listening to lots of different stuff, I think I would end up kind of head in that direction. I guess it depends on the individual on how you kind of work, I guess, and how it, you know how it works for each person. But yeah, I don't know. I think I'm trying to think who it is, but there's certainly it might be Alice Cooper or someone like that. But there's definitely I've heard ones who just don't listen to a whole lot of things because they want to keep that unique sound to them, which I guess if they've made it on that sound, you know, because Alice Cooper or whoever's got such a unique sound to him, I guess he's probably, if it is him, he'd probably be worried that he'd kind of take, you know, start heading a different direction non-deliberately, you know. So I guess, but yeah, it is interesting just to see how other people work. Really, that's what I find interesting to hear. You know, just the kind of process, you know, because it is different. I mean, I think so many people work differently, you know. And yeah, I think even when I interviewed KK and I asked him about how it worked, you know, I think he just said they'd get together and he said you don't just get together in a room and sort of jam it out. He said you'll never get anywhere, you know. I think he said they'd all individually go away and have ideas and then come together and talk through the ideas or whatever and kind of put a few together and kind of so yeah, it's kind of I guess it does vary a lot depending on the band and musician, and yeah, so it is interesting.
Yeah, I don't think there's any one sort of formula that's gonna work for every person. You gotta just sort of take the advice that you get with a grain of salt and figure out what works best for you.
That's it. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I think it's good. I guess what's different with us is we're very kind of independent as well. We don't have labels, do we, either of us, or things like that. And no, we're not into that.
I don't want one at this point. I'm
No,
trying to get a freaking law degree.
no, that's it. No, at least you're, yeah, because you're going into that, aren't you, to kind of help musicians who are getting screwed out of money and record deals and all this stuff, which is
Yeah.
good. We need more people like you doing that, I think. So that's yeah, no, that's a good thing to do. Yeah, because we hear of so many people getting screwed over by these companies and people who just don't know how it all works. Massive contracts which they sign without really understanding, and then
Oh yeah, there are so many ways that record labels will try to get you on their contracts. Like,
Mm,
I remember taking my music business course around this time last year, and we were talking about how record labels will introduce these things called breakage fees and free goods into their contracts. And
mm,
so what that means is that people don't really buy records anymore. Like, I mean, it's sad but true. Streaming is the new big thing. It's
mm,
the whole idea of creative destruction sort of coming in and disrupting everything that we know about the music industry and changing it. And so, because the music industry is so different and we have this whole new streaming economy, people aren't really buying records anymore. But labels will still try to fit in these things called breakage fees into their contracts, which is, oh, you have to pay extra money to us if any of the records that we sell get broken, like the physical copies. And it's like, that's
mm.
ridiculous. No one is selling physical copies anymore unless you're like a smaller artist, because people
Uh,
do still buy like physical CDs for smaller artists. But yeah, they'll try to implement those breakage fees. And then I think back when they still were selling CDs en masse, labels would try to put in this free goods clause into their contracts where they would basically say, "Oh, you need to compensate us for all the free CDs that we put in magazines and newspapers and such for people to get when they pick those up at the store or wherever." And it's like, again, that's ridiculous and it's completely
mm,
unnecessary, especially for today's economy, which is all about streaming. So you really have to be careful when you read these contracts and like get someone qualified to understand
yeah.
all the legalese for you, because it is very easy to just completely screw yourself over. Like, one of my bandmates sent me a video and I can't remember what the artist's name was, but it was such a sad story. I was like crying by the end
Mm,
because it was all about this musician who got completely screwed out of the ownership of all of his music because his label, I guess, had him sign a contract saying that they owned the copyrights to all of his music. And his music really made it big. He got into like a bunch of video game soundtracks. And if you're on a video game soundtrack, you're making royalties from every sale of that video game. So it's a big deal to get on like a soundtrack or something, because you make money every time that medium is sold or is streamed. So that's a big deal. He was losing all of this money that he could have taken and made a living for himself out of,
mm,
but he couldn't because he didn't read his contract correctly, and he was living on the streets, homeless, pretty much, while his label was making all kinds of big bucks off
mm,
of his work that he
uh,
should have legally owned.
mm.
So, yeah, I mean, the music industry is rife with horror stories like that. It's so sad.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. It is. I mean, that's kind of what stops me kind of even trying to think down that route because I think
If
it's
you
kind of
don't need to be on a label, then you really shouldn't.
no, exactly. Yeah, and I think I think a lot can be said for, you know, people who do it independently. I mean, I got Cam here. You might want to say hello in a minute.
Hello. Hi.
Cam does a lot of my videos, like with me, and it's just a nice process, you know. We kind of go out and film the videos together, and we have fun with it. And I mean, I think people kind of should appreciate that more than the kind of things that are laid on, because like we've actually went out and made the effort to do it. And you know, I think there's too much of a thing on perfection these days, especially in metal. Unless you've got like this video that's shot like, you know, on the £1,000 camera, and like, you know, kind of in some warehouse or something thrashing away, and you know, kind of the typical kind of look, then like there's this idea that you're not going to be taken seriously, or you know, unless the music's like been done absolutely to a T, you know. But you know, I recently heard Mantis from Venom saying something about you know, when Venom started out, you know, it was really raw recordings and stuff, and he said, you know, words to the effect of, you know, I don't think it matters about all the kind of perfect kit and stuff. It is literally about the songs, you know, write good songs. And yeah, I think even people are kind of almost conditioned now that unless stuff sounds absolutely, you know, like what they hear on X Factor or whatever, or like, you know, that standard, the high standard, you know, then it isn't good. But I mean, there's so many songs you can do. I mean, we've done a lot of songs which are, you know, we've done it to the best quality we can do it. There's always going to be someone else who can do it more better quality or whatever. But
Mhm.
you know, it's more about the songs, I think, than the quality always. And you know, rawness is something that is good in some ways. It makes things human, and kind of you know, I think it's more kind of human and real to kind of you know, have a few flaws or have a few kind of things where you've went out and done it yourself, and this it shows you and your uniqueness than doing this kind of clone carbon copy or whatever of every other band and every other band's sound. And I think it's even that thing. I'm always sort of looking when I do come across new bands. It's kind of, I always think, you know, sometimes there's no way I can really do what they've done because I haven't got the budget and stuff. But I think they're only doing what someone else has done, and it's that same look, same sound. And although it's something that you kind of think in your head, oh, that's what's going to get spotted, it shouldn't be really, because it's not. It's only a copy of the last band that did it. You know, at least I think working how we do it, it might not always be amazing quality, but sometimes it will, because you know, we try different things, we work with different people, we get people to master things sometimes. And you know, I'm always sort of branching out to different people and who can help with quality and things and master things. And you know, I got someone to master Cyber War, didn't I? And you know, so I'm always making the extra effort to get stuff, you know, as polished as I can on the budget I've got, which is pretty, you know, low. You know, I can sometimes throw money at stuff and sometimes I can't. But I think as long as the songs are good and the, you know, that's my main priority. And I guess what I'm getting to is, you know, if you're with a label on a record thing, you're only kind of, there's so much of a standard that, you know, you're kind of losing some of the realness at the same time. You're hitting their standards, but it's not necessarily how things should be, you know. And it doesn't mean you're good or bad or anything. I think people have just got to explore more and not be so judgmental on that kind of quality thing, you know, because, you know, as long as it's a good song and you makes you headbang, you know, that's all that matters, you know, in my head anyway. But yeah.
Yeah, and the thing that's important to remember about a lot of these record labels is that I know it sounds like I'm ragging on record labels, but there are many different kinds of deals that you can sign with one. And I think, in my opinion, the more independent you are, the better. And one of the reasons for that, besides all the money concerns and the copyright ownership concerns, is that labels often exert some degree of creative control over you when you
Exactly. Yeah.
sign certain kinds of deals. And that creative control will vary depending on the kinds of deals that you sign, but ultimately you're always going to be under their thumb,
Mm.
having to use the met the producer and the sound engineer that they assign you, and you're going to. I mean, it's probably not always like that, but in a great many of these situations, it is.
Mm.
Because if you're working for, like, say, a bigger corporate label that's not like a smaller indie label, then you do what they tell you to do, unless you
Exactly.
can negotiate something in your contract, unless you're very careful about that. Um, so yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of bands just sort of sound the same. It's because they're all using the same people and the
Yeah.
same technology, and they're all making their music sound like it's up to a certain standard, and that's
Yeah.
because it is.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um,
It is. It's like
I
the
think
same.
one of the things about our music that's independent is uh, you can really hear all of the care and the attention that we put into it,
Mm.
even though, I'm not perfect at sound mixing and mastering, but I'm working on getting there.
That's it.
um,
Yeah.
you hear it's genuine. It comes from the heart and the soul. It doesn't come from a
Yeah.
corporate machine that's telling us
Exactly.
what we
Yeah.
need to do to be popular.
Yeah, it's authentic, and I think that is the main thing. And like I say, Cam's real authentic with, like, you know, artistically, they kind of do a lot of art and stuff. That's all right.
Very nice.
They're an artist, kind of their own kind of right, and they kind of bring some of that creative energy to the songs and well, not the songs, but the videos. When we do the videos, we're both kind of thinking. I'm kind of quite kind of particular about how I want things, but Cam will always kind of say, "Do you want to try this or whatever?" And we kind of we try different things, and it's kind of it's more of like an art, I guess, doing it the way we do it. It's more like more of a crafted and, like you say, from the heart kind of thing. Um, so yeah, no, I agree. I think it's good, and hopefully more people will value that, and take the time to listen and share and buy stuff, and because it's kind of it is a hard time now for musicians, especially with all this kind of a control going on. You can't do anything, and it's kind of hopefully quality of life will be thought about more than all the other stuff. Kind of a bit more thought to people who are losing their businesses and bands, who are really struggling now, and hopefully things will get back on track. But I mean, I guess it's good we're doing stuff online. I think real life is always preferable, but at the same time, I've kind of made what I do online, and kind of without being online, it wouldn't have got where it did. But it's a love-hate relationship, really. I'm not totally for technology, particularly, and especially the censorship. I had my YouTube deleted with like 16,000 followers or whatever recently, and it's like gone. So now this is my new channel, and it's like it's fine. I'm just glad to have the songs out there as long as they're there. But it's a shame. Some of the songs hit real good views and stuff, and it's kind of right back to square one again. But it's stuff like that happens, and it happens randomly, and you got no control over it, and you can be doing really well, making money, and it can all just go like that if they just decide to delete you or whatever. And yeah, so there's kind of a levels. I think social media and stuff's good when the control isn't there, but there seems to be more and more. And
Yeah. I think
censorship.
that indie artists really have the potential to do better than they ever have, because you don't need a label nowadays to put your
Mm.
music out there and get it on the radio. Um, but it's only good insofar as it's not being controlled by these big corporate tech giants that we
Yeah,
have. Like, Spotify barely pays its artists anything, and I can't remember the details about the way that they pay their artists, but it's kind of messed up.
it is. I
And
do think
also,
like peanuts. Yeah, nothing pretty much.
yeah, there have been all these lawsuits in recent years with Spotify just not honoring their contracts with the artists that they
Really?
sign. I mean, not sign, but the artists whose catalogs they have access to. And I think that as long as there's competition in the tech industry and musicians are free to try out different platforms and speak their minds on through different mediums, like I was telling you about Rumble. I
That's
don't
the
know if you've
thing.
checked
That's
it out
big.
yet.
Yeah, I think we need to check out these new platforms because I think the ones we're relying on, like Instagram and all these and Facebook, they don't want to help musicians. You know,
No,
the
no,
the
yeah.
algorithms are against musicians, and like it's, you know, unless you're vanity based and you're just posting narcissistic selfies all the,
Yeah.
you're not gonna get the likes. So creative people are pretty much out the picture, you know. Even my friend does loads of art, like I say, and you know, they don't get loads of likes all the time because it isn't reached out there, you know. It's not you know, they do some great stuff, but it's not pushed out there. Same with music, you know, any artistic kind of form isn't pushed out there like all the pointless selfies and stuff. So it's kind of yeah, like you say, there's Rumble, there's that, what's the other one, Life Loop or something.
I
Yeah,
think
I've
so.
yet to try them out, but yeah, there's a few kind of more freedom based platforms where you haven't got the restrictions so much.
Hmm.
uh,
Yeah, and as an indie artist, it's always good to have multiple revenue streams.
yeah.
Like, it's not good to just sort of rely on one thing for all of your income. And I think the biggest threat to the music industry now is not the corporate labels and the radio that governs the type of music that gets put out there. Rather, it's things like Spotify and all of these streaming platforms that can get away with just deleting people's entire livelihoods without even asking,
Mhm.
and
Exactly. Yeah.
with not paying them the money that they have earned from their work. And so I think it's really important that people have choices and go that they can go use different platforms and try those out and have many different opportunities to make a living off of their work, because it's not good to have the music industry monopolized by all of these by the singular oligopoly that includes
Mm.
like YouTube and Spotify and Apple and Google. That needs to change. There needs to be a lot more competition in the music industry so that people can be freer and have more choice.
Yeah, no, definitely. Because, yeah, I think with all these things, you know, if we just rely on the main ones, you know, they're not going to actually, you know, help us in the end. So it's, I think it is now, if you're independent, you have literally got to just find so many different other, because there must be so many other platforms you can use which just haven't quite taken off yet, or will take off, or are starting to take off. And yeah, I think, like you say, I think the more stuff you're on, the better, you know, whether it's downloading sites or you know, just, you know, having a website. I'm thinking of maybe making a website soon, because I think that might be a better
Do
way of
it.
doing it.
Do
Yeah,
that.
that
Yeah,
might.
because if you have your own website and you can find a way to monetize that and have
That's
people
true. Yeah.
go directly to your website to stream your music, you can make serious bucks
Mm,
off of every stream that you get. And it's good to not have to rely on an external platform for
that's
that.
true. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Because, like you say, I mean, my YouTube is just deleted, and it won't even. It's not even like you can have a proper discussion with anyone. It's just
Mm.
gone, and then, you know, you tweet
Yeah.
the help people, and they're just like, "Oh yeah, we'll get back to you," and it's like 3 weeks later or whatever, you know. And yeah, they don't want to help, so it's kind of a, yeah. I think any way you can make money without, like you say, those restraints on it, is good. So yeah, I'm definitely going to look into a website. Um, I'm kind of a bit annoyed, you know, having to do the whole YouTube thing again. So I think I'm going to definitely branch out to some other kind of things as well.
And I think it might be good to even start doing a mailing list or maybe even like a blog or something,
Mm,
just so that people can keep in touch, and so that if another one of your platforms gets deleted, you can have a mailing list that sends out all of that information to people if you don't have access to Instagram or something like that.
Mm.
And you could easily just say to people, if they don't, if they're hesitant to sign up, I will not contact you unless something happens to my channel or to my Instagram or whatever I'm using. So I think, I think having more ways to keep in touch with your fans would
That is
also
good, yeah.
greatly, as an indie artist, you need to take advantage of every opportunity to connect with people that you can.
Mm.
Yeah, that's a thought that I was having.
Yeah, no, you're right. And I think, as you were saying, I was thinking that I don't know if like fans are just a little bit different now with how they kind of react to stuff as well. Because I feel like with all the social media and stuff, everyone's kind of onto the next click all the time. I don't think people commit to bands and musicians like they do or did in the 80s, where you follow a band. I think there's a percentage of people who are really hardcore follow a band and stuff, but I see a
I'm
lot.
like that. I'm very
Yeah,
hardcore. When I
that's
find a
good. I
band
am
I like,
too.
I obsess. I'm like,
Yeah,
so
that
I
is.
think it's all about like, I don't know, just having a brand that your fans can really identify with and that really makes them connect on an emotional level to your
Yeah,
music. Because I found that artists who can basically reach into my mind and read my thoughts
exactly. Yeah.
and who I feel like really understand the world the way I do, I follow those bands much more closely than the ones who don't. And I mean, it seemed like sort of a random thing that just happens, but like, I think by cultivating a steady sort of brand and a steady image with a not really a certain sound. I mean, it's great to be experimental, but like having something consistent that people can turn
Yeah,
to
I think you're
and that
right.
makes them feel a little bit less alone in the world because they
Yeah,
feel
definitely.
someone else understands things the way they do. And I think that's what really gets people to really connect to a band on an emotional level and
Mm,
uh, what makes them want to follow you and kind of see you as a kindred spirit in a sense. I've recently
that's
done
it.
that
Yeah.
with I've been following a law firm on Instagram, and I've connected with her. She's the sole proprietor of her firm, and I had a phone call with her a couple weeks
Well,
ago talking about how she runs her business and stuff. And
mm,
it felt like I was talking to a kindred spirit who really
right.
understands what I want to do with my life and
That's
who
right.
gets
Yeah.
me as a person. And that is sort of what's made us sort of click. And
Yeah.
so I'm hoping that, I can stay in contact and eventually have someone to work with after I get all my fancy degrees and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
Pretty good. Yeah.
it's good to be someone that has a certain sort of vibe and a certain brand that makes it easier for people to identify with you, and so they feel a bit more obligated to keep up with you because it's like keeping up with a friend or someone
Exactly.
who
Yeah.
is basically like your soulmate.
That's
And
true.
I don't
Yeah.
think soulmates have to be romantic.
No. 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 It's kind of like having that common ground and having something relatable. Yeah. I think that's what it is. I think certain music really hits your kind of soul and stuff. And I mean, I've had one real nice, fan of mine, who's become a friend now. That Terry, who I do the duet.
Yeah.
She's like so like hardcore kind of fan. She's really into
Mhm.
like all my music and reminds me of even songs I've forgotten about. And kind of, it's nice to know when you hear that feedback because it's kind of sometimes as a musician you don't really realize people are connecting that much unless they tell you. And like I say, I don't think that many people branch out to really say anything these days, because I've just had the odd person who will go out their way to do it, and most people would just like something or whatever. But when you get that personal feedback, it does, it's good to know. And I think it is an individual thing. I think because it's even like when you hear people say, "Oh, that music's shit" or whatever, or that it's like comedy or they're not funny or whatever. It's like, well, it's completely subjective. It's like some people find them funny, some people don't, and it's the same with music. And it's kind of like just because someone don't like something or someone thinks something's shit never hold on to that, because there's so many people who do enjoy it and do appreciate it. And it's no good even giving the trolls time of day, because they just don't get what you're doing. And I think it is art, and art is completely subjective. What do you say, Cam, about art, about it not, you don't have to be good at art or something? So.
A lot of pressure right now. You don't. Oh, God.
Something about not being good at art, and that you don't have to be. It's not about being good, is it? It's just about.
It's not enjoying it.
Yeah, kind of.
It comes through when you enjoy it. But I did say something specific, but I can't remember it.
No.
I saw the sticker with it. I can't remember.
We'll put it in the description or something of the video. But yeah, just that kind of thing, really. It's not art and music and stuff. It's about just doing what you like, and what and kind of people who are like you will be drawn to you and relate to you. And social media doesn't make it easy, because they don't really pump it out to those people that much. But when you get the odd person who does really get it, you got to value that, and kind of it's not always about getting the masses. I think mass reaction is more of like a conditioned reaction. But if you just have a niche following, I've always been happy just to have the odd niche following, the odd person who recognizes you, like, just now and again, who's just like, oh, I've seen your stuff and that. It's like, oh, thanks, which I've had like just a couple of times. And that means more to me than if it was like a big mass reaction of kind of generic music that is just catchy. It's nice to have the people who get you, and kind of
yeah, and it really should be more about that, because my music business professor always told us, if you can get your like 1,000 most loyal fans, or your 1,000 most loyal followers who will stick with you to the end, and who really enjoy you, and who really get what you do, you can build a career off of that. And so I think it's really important to be as authentic as possible, so that you attract the right type of people who will stick with you through the long term, and who won't just kind of, I don't know, look at you as a one-off thing that they listen to just because it's catchy, or just because society just forces that type of music on them,
No, exactly. Yeah. No, I think he's right there. Yeah. No, that is the attitude. Yeah. You just got to be happy with what you've got, and not kind of always seek something else. Sort of realize when you've got that fan base, and when you've got that unique following that kind of care about you and what you do, and kind of hold on to that, and not I guess try and stay on track to why they liked you, and try not to veer off into like other territory which isn't really you. I guess there's a lot, like you say, consistency I think is a biggie, and I've experimented with so many things really to try and just see how it goes. So I've kind of done like every music I can think of, synth pop, black metal, thrashy stuff, classic metal sounding stuff, ballads, just to kind of see what people kind of home in on. But I do think if I just stuck to one thing all along, it probably would have been more of a draw. Like, people would have
been. Well, I'm not really saying like stick to one style, because being experimental is great. I'm more saying like just the brand overall. It's good to sort of have a couple of things that people can really identify you by, whether it's, I don't know, even just something about your personality and the way that you see the world, and the way that you communicate it to your followers or your fans. Like, it's not about just pumping out the same type of music over and over again. It's more about just your image and the way that you present yourself to the world.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, I think you can still experiment and keep that kind of true identity kind of thing. I guess I just mean like I feel personally I've maybe kind of done a bit too much branching out, just a little bit maybe. I wouldn't have done it any other way, because it's how I enjoy it. But I just feel, I've seen other people who kind of you can still, even Priest, they've always branched out and stuff, but you still know the sound is there throughout each album, which I try and do. I try and still make it my sound.
Yeah.
But I do, but then I look at bands like Sabbath or AC/DC who are literally just the same thing over and over again. And
I honestly don't understand the hype around AC/DC. I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this, but they have been putting out the exact same album for like 50
Yeah,
years.
I know, it's
just
crazy.
the same thing over and over and over again. And I get that some people like that, but for me, I'm always listening to something new. I have my band obsession of the week, as you could say. And every time AC/DC puts out something new, I'm like, eh.
I can't even really listen to it now. I did listen, funny enough, yesterday it did come up on my suggestions, and I thought, oh, I'll check it out. And one of their new songs, it was all right, you know, it was kind of what you expect, but like you say, it is just the same thing over and over. I quite like the early stuff, the Bon Scott stuff, because that's a bit more, I guess, variation, but it's still repetitive kind of stuff. But it's just a little bit, there's something different. I think the Brian Johnson stuff's pretty much all the same almost, but it works. And if it works for them, you know, I can't knock it. But yeah, I couldn't listen to the same thing over and over again. You know, I don't even listen to that much metal these days, really. I've even like to branch out to other stuff, you know, because I can't just stay in that one thing. I like to see what anyone can do, you know, as long as it's creative and interests me. I don't care what genre it is, you know, so it's kind of, yeah, I think it's good just to stay open to all sorts. And I think that might be what's made, you know, my stuff go down well, because it's like, if I just, as much as I said, I think I would have done well sticking to one thing, I think I also have been more able to kind of bring little bits from other things to it, which I think people have probably been drawn to as well. So it's double-edged sword, really. You kind of you don't know what the best thing to do is, but just
well,
got.
I think the fact that you have tried so many different styles and have tried so many different things and been successful at it, I think that's great, and you shouldn't change that, because it's exciting. There's always something new. There's always something new to put out there, and it doesn't get boring. You never know what sort of style a song is going to be in, because it's so experimental, it's so fresh, it's so new.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. That's very kind. Yeah, no, that's a good way of looking at it. Yeah, no, yeah. I guess we'll wrap it up there. That was nicely nice said. Yeah, I appreciate that. Well, it's been good talking with you, or great talking with you. It's been good to actually. It's our first video chat actually, which is quite a, you know, impressive thing, really, considering we've worked together for quite a while. Yeah, this is.
Yeah, it's funny. We've never actually talked face to face, and we're working together for like about a year now, maybe.
Yeah, so. I kind of like it that way. That the guy Zachary, who I've done a lot of my songs with, I think I video chatted him once very quickly, and that was more recently on a very recent song. I've done like 2 years or more like of songs with him, like a lot of stuff, and we just had a very brief. It wasn't even really a face to face. He was just showing me something on the laptop that he was mixing, and I was like, yeah, that'd do, you know. And but I kind of like that, you know. I'd like to get to know everyone I work with, but I kind of like the mystique of just I like contact someone and say, hey, what do you think of this? And they just come back with something. And I don't know, I kind of like the not knowing each other too much, but we can
I'm
make
just a faceless keyboard warrior in my cave making magic. My magical guitar, which I have like, back there. I don't know if you can see it. I have my little. Here you go. That's my baby.
Nice. Yeah, it's kind of more mystical almost. It's like a kind of I like not knowing too much, you know, and then everything kind of when stuff comes together, it's just like it's good to like I feel a connection, you know, with all the people I work with, you know, and like it's even without knowing them that well, like I know we're on the same page with stuff when it comes to the music, and I guess I don't want to jinx it, so I don't get too comfortable with anyone. Like I kind of just contact them kind of when we're working on a project, and we kind of might have a month or whatever without chatting, and I come back. But with you, I guess we've kept in touch a bit more. We chat almost daily with stuff, but which is nice. It's a refreshing thing for me. But so yeah, no, it's good, and I'm glad we got a good working relationship and kind of got the same ideal. I'm not even gonna get the word right now. What's the word? Ideology. That's it. I've got it. Ideology. We've got the same ideology on a lot of stuff that's going on in the world, and kind of So it's good. Good to have a kindred spirit in the kind of you know, the kind of stuff we do, you know, music on and off stage, shall we say. Yeah, so which is good. So yeah, that is it. We'll wrap it up. We're at 58 minutes, so that's pretty good.
Wow.
That
All
was
right.
about, but yeah, no, so thanks for coming on the Metal Mat podcast, shall we call it?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be happy to do this again when I have the time and when my professors aren't trying to kill me.
Good, good. Yeah, no, we will definitely. So, yeah, well, check out all the songs, everybody. Check out our, we've got our latest one,
Sure.
Cyber War, Cyber War, and we've got my other personal favorite, which is Web of Lies and God of Sun and Reflection. And have I named them? Evolution, and I think that might be all of them. So yeah, check them all out, and you'll kind of get a deeper understanding now of how we work. So yeah, thanks, Sophia,
Yeah.
and yeah, I'll see you soon. All right.
See you later.
Till
Bye-bye.
next project. Bye.
Bye.